Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the foundational beliefs of Islam, a faith that guides the lives of billions of people. We're going to explore the core concepts, from its central text all the way to its vision of what lies beyond, to really understand the framework that shapes this global community.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty staggering number. 2 billion. Yeah, 2 billion. That's roughly how many Muslims there are in the world today. We're talking about nearly a quarter of all humanity, spread across every single continent and culture you can imagine.
So that begs the question, right? How does a single book end up shaping the worldview of so many different people all over the globe? What are the core beliefs that unite them? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go straight to the source.
All right, first up, let's talk about the book at the heart of it all. What's interesting is that it goes by a few different names, and each one tells you something really important about what it is and how you're meant to interact with it.
So, first you have the name most people know, the Quran. This literally translates to the recital. And that name is a huge clue. It tells you this isn't just a book you read quietly to yourself. No, it's meant to be spoken, to be heard, to be experienced through its sound and its rhythm.
Then it's also called the Kitab, which means the writ. This name points to its other side, the physical, written book that's been so carefully preserved and studied for, centuries, making sure that message stays exactly the same.
But maybe the most important name of all is Huda. Huda means guidance, and that's really the core of it. The text sees itself as a kind of divine map for the journey of life, pointing the way for people, for families, and even for whole societies.
Okay, so if the Quran is the map, how are you supposed to read the world around you? That brings us to our next big idea. The message isn't just trapped in a book. It's actually all around us, right in plain sight.
And the key word here is ayat. Now this word is fascinating because it has this incredible double meaning. On one hand, ayats are the verses in the Quran. But on the other hand, ayats are also things you see in the natural world. The stars, the rain, life itself. The idea is that both the book and nature are signs pointing to the same truth.
And this is a really crucial distinction to make. The Quran doesn't present itself as a science textbook. It's not there to explain the how with equations and data. It's a book of science. It uses the wonders of the natural world to make you stop and think about the why. The goal is to inspire this sense of awe, to get you to contemplate where it all comes from. So you've got the guidance from the book, and you're seeing the signs in the world, but how does all of that translate into, actual daily life? This leads us to a practical framework, a word you've probably heard before, but it's one that's widely misunderstood.
That framework is Sharia, and the word itself is really quite beautiful. It literally means the clear, well-trodden path to water. Just imagine being in a desert. That path is everything. It's life, it's survival. So Sharia is meant to be that divine path leading to a just life and spiritual well-being.
Now, this path isn't just made up. It's carefully constructed from four main sources. First and foremost, you have the Quran, which is seen as God's direct word. Then you have the Sunnah, that's the example and teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. For issues that have come up since then, scholars use two big tools. One is ijma, which is the consensus of experts, and the other is qiyas, which is using logic and analogy to apply old principles to totally new situations.
So in the real world, what does this look like? Well, Sharia lays out a moral and ethical code for basically every part of life. As you can see here, it includes rules against things considered harmful to society, like intoxication, gambling, theft, all with the big picture goal of creating a fair and stable community.
Okay, and this is where we have to clear up some major misconceptions you hear all the time. First off, Sharia is not one single rigid book of laws. Far from it. The human process of interpreting and applying it, that's a whole field of study called fiqh, and it's produced a ton of different legal schools, or madhabs, over the centuries. Also, it's not just about punishments. A huge part of it deals with ethics, charity, and family matters. And historically, these traditions actually established rights for women in things like property and inheritance. And in many societies, non-Muslims were generally left to follow their own laws for their own personal affairs.
So when you take a step back and look at this whole journey, the book, the signs in the world, the path, it's all resting on one single fundamental idea, the belief that there's more to reality than what we can see, hear, and touch.
This idea is called al-ghaib, which translates to the unseen. It's basically everything that's real but exists beyond our five senses and our scientific tools. We're talking about God, angels, the soul, the afterlife, all of it.
So
In this way of thinking, reality has two parts. You've got al-shahada, the seen world. That's everything we can observe, measure, and study with science. But then you have al-ghaib, the unseen world, the realm that can only be known through faith and divine revelation.
And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It's absolutely central. Believing in the unseen is presented as the #1 quality of a truly pious person. In fact, right at the beginning of the Quran's 2nd chapter, it says, the book is a guide for those who believe in the unseen. It's like the very first step on the path.
All right, so that leads us to the final destination on this journey. After a life of faith and doing good, what's the ultimate promise? What's the end goal?
Well, that destination is called Jannah. You often hear it translated as paradise, but the Quran's description is actually more specific. It calls it gardens of pleasure, which gives you a sense of a place of total peace and deep fulfillment.
And the pleasures of Jannah are described as having different layers. The texts are really clear that the absolute highest pleasure is spiritual. It's experiencing God's contentment, which is called the supreme felicity.
But the descriptions also get very physical, very sensory. They paint this picture of beautiful clothes, reclining on lush couches, in a beautiful, comfortable place. It really appeals to our human sense of beauty and comfort.
And then there's the emotional and social side of it. The promise of a place with zero conflict, no backbiting, no negativity. A place where the only words you ever hear are greetings of peace.
So, there you have it. From the recital, to the signs all around us, to the path for living, to believing in the unseen, and finally, to the promise of the gardens. It's a complete worldview, really. A journey that starts with a single word and ends with a vision of eternity. And it leaves every person with one final, deeply personal question. On your own journey, what signs will you see?